What up, Niche? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake, KBO DFS Wise Stream, CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com if you're looking to take a game to the next level. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and take advantage of all the free DFS content we put out on a regular. We cover a multitude of sports on the YouTube channels. KBO is one of them. Normally we cover the main three, NBA, NFL, and MLB, obviously. We're waiting for those to return, and we'll cover them when they come back. But in the meantime, we got KBO, we got NASCAR streams, we've got golf PGA. We had our first PGA stream since the break. That was cool. So we cover a multitude of sports. Anything you see on the YouTube channel is free, so come check it out. Hang out with us and do thy dirty with us. If you haven't hit that like button, guys, please hit the like button. The likes go a long way, really help us out. We've seen with PGA and NASCAR picking up, and with PGA coming back, NASCAR picking up, and League of Legends really starting to pick up as well. The contests in KBO seem to I think it's the people that are just not playing as much because they're tired of waking up early, or they're not waking up early. They're tired of the weather situation, and they're choosing to play these other sports. And I don't blame them. I mean, I like to play the other one. I've been playing NASCAR, PGA, and League of Legends. We have projections for all of them, so I've been playing away, whether I know the sport, well enough or not. But still, I'm gonna stick with baseball because that's still one of the main sports we got. So I'm still in it. I'm still trying to make some money. And like I said, there's some people that aren't playing anymore, so we'll have to see. They're gonna be in waves. I wish the contest would pick up. Maybe they will next week. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that it doesn't help the whole 5:30 grind. It gets old for me too. My sleeping is all fucked up. Yesterday, had to stay up till around 1 after not sleeping much the night before because I was just up at 4:30 to do the lineups, and I'm getting up having a problem going to sleep after, which is my own fucking fault, right? It's my own fucking issue. But regardless, man, it's a grind. It's like I think if it was just this grind, it really wouldn't be a big deal. But when you have this grind in addition to the NASCAR, PGA, and obviously those of you who know, I own and operate in WiseTake.com, so I have a hand in everything we do, and it's time consuming. But needless to say, when I finally get an opportunity to discuss some baseball, I appreciate it. Shout out to Robert Hare. He says shout out to me. I say shout out to you because he says he made top 10 in NASCAR and KBO. Lemonade. That's right, man. That's what's up, Rob. Good to hear, man. I love to hear that kind of shit. It picks me up, lifts my spirits. That and the likes. Allow me to go on and do dirties. But yeah, I think it's interesting. And the way baseball is going, this may be the only baseball we get. I doubt it. I know that the commissioner came out and said that 100% will be baseball. I don't think he could really guarantee that. The players have to agree, unless he has a backup plan to take all those minor leaguers who were just released and let go, and give them a job. Shit, I'll fucking play. Shit, I'll do it. King B says my Eagle stack lost. Hey, that's tough, man. It's tough when you stack the Eagles, man. If there was going to be an opportunity, it would be today to stack Hanwa, and we'll get into why. And I'm not saying that's a good idea, but it's an interesting situation. It's like a bullpen game for Doosan against Hanwa. We have a whole new series, so we have new teams playing each other, right? Let me see. Robert says he gotta make a Twitter so you can screenshot it. Yeah, bro, we love to see him, man. Anybody that sends us a screenshot, we love to retweet it. My own Twitter at CK_013, the WiseTake Twitter, everything, man. Everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Major League Baseball. But we know NBA is coming back. They're talking about July 30th, so we'll be ready. I don't know. We'll see what the format is. They're going to be playing out of Orlando, I think Disney or something like that. So we'll have to see what the format actually is, and maybe it's like a Christmas slate where they just play games throughout the day. But I guess they would have to, right? I think they would have to. Anyway, let's go on and get on to this slate. So the first thing, and I've noticed some of you guys are talking about it in the chat, or Rob's talking about it in the chat, that it's a good pitching slate today. Very good pitching slate today. We have more, like, coming off 2 slates in a row where the pitching was just really shitty. Yeah, it's kind of refreshing. At the same time, it makes the offenses a little bit more concentrated. You know what I mean? As far as in terms of ownership. But yeah, the pitching's deep today. Pitching is deep today. Mike Honcho doing dirties on a daily. That's right. That's what we do. That's what we do on the regular. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. The first game, we got the Kia Tigers and the SK Wyverns. We got Drew Gagnon going up against Jang Hoon Park. This looked like one of the better pitching matchups on the day. I think that Gagnon is far and away a better looking option, at least for most metrics. Starting off with the opponent WOBA, so Gagnon, this is SK's WOBA 330. This is their team WOBA of 2020 for this projected lineup. And for those of you who are new, these are projected lineups. We don't have the actual lineups. They don't come out until about an hour before the game starts. So we will have them in the morning because I wake my ass up at 4:30 to make sure that the nation has updated cheat sheets and projections and whatnot. But for the time being, for the projected lineup, it's about a 330 WOBA, a 108 ISO, one of the lowest you'll find. The strikeout rate's 18%. It's not great, but it's not terrible. That's the one advantage that I think Jang Hoon Park actually has, is that the Kia projected lineups with a little bit of a higher strikeout rate. Most of that is brought on by Ho Ryun Kim. And I'm not knocking on the dude. He's been good. 2 homers. Awesome ISO. He's leading off. He's been great. But 33% strikeout rate is kind of jacking it up. Because if you look, man, you got 11%, 12%. Yeah. So without that 33, this number drops a little bit. No, I'm sorry. This number drops a little bit to 19%. Anyway, so SK, not a very good offense. The Kia Tigers, they've been playing good, man. And again, we talked about how he hurt the strikeout. He also helped the ISO, right? A 423 ISO to add into these metrics. 211, 395, they're playing well right now. He's helped. Let's get into the pitchers themselves, a little bit more direct. So we'll start with we'll start with Park because he's first. So I think Park will be one of the lower owned options of the ones we're going to discuss, and that's because he's a domestic player, so people don't know him. People know who Koo is right now. He's the only domestic player I think people really know, pitcher anyway. But people know Tyler Wilson, they know Despaigne, they know Straley, they know Gagnon. So you've got even Chad, but you've got a bunch of these foreign pitchers, foreign to the KBO, that is. So I think that a guy like Jang Hoon Park is kind of going to just fly under the radar. Now, his numbers aren't all the way as good as some of the other guys, but they're competitive. 3.48 FIP is pretty solid. 24% K rate is very solid. The strikeout to walk ratio, with that high of a strikeout rate, you would have liked to see it higher. 2.43 tells you that he is walking dudes in between, and that's evident by the whip too. 1.265. It's not a terrible whip, but it's not like excellent. He gives up some home runs. The benefit, though, for both of these pitchers is they're playing it at SK's park, and this has been one of the more pitcher-friendly parks in the game. So that's certainly a benefit. So it's hard for me to sell you guys, play Park over Oda Rismer, Tyler Wilson, Drew Gagnon, Dan Straley. It's hard for me to really sell you on that, but I can tell you, if you're making multiple teams, it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of him because, I just think the ownership on him is going to be a lot lower than some of the other guys. With that said, I wouldn't rule out the Kia offense. Again, I don't love the Park, but Kia offense is playing well for the most part. And when this guy's not striking dudes out, he is kind of getting lit up. The home run rate is a little... Last year, that would have been above average. This year, it's too early of a sample to really tell. But I don't want to spend too much time on a pitcher that's probably like my 5th or 6th favorite option, if that. And you'll notice here there's a pitcher missing because we got a guy making his debut who has no stats at all. But anyway, as far as Gagnon, I don't see how he isn't the most popular pitcher on DraftKings. Maybe Koo's number 1, but he's really cheap, right? So even if you're grabbing Koo at 9.6, he provides nice salary relief at 7,400 on DraftKings. The numbers are fucking awesome, comparable to Koo's. His numbers are not that different from Koo's. He's been a little more unlucky according to his ERA. When you see a difference of 3.48 to 1.99, he's been a little unlucky, and his numbers are still awesome. But you look at the FIPs, very similar, 161 to 199. Koo's whip, and Koo has been a little bit on the other side of the luck end. He's got a negative differential, so the ball has been bouncing his way in addition to how great he's been. That's not saying that he's not good. He's fucking awesome. I'm just saying that the ball is also kind of like, it's not like he's giving up a ton of CNI singles, which helps the whip. It's the other situation for Gagnon. So 28%, almost a 29% K rate, very similar. The strikeout to walk ratio, he's not really walking dudes, neither is Koo. He's not really giving up home runs. So, I mean, to me, like, just out the gate, Koo and Gagnon. If I was building one team today, I'm going Koo and Gagnon, and I'm fully anticipating them to be chalky, but I'll figure the rest out because these guys just have tremendous upside. Koo just feels super safe. I think his last game he didn't ceiling out, but he still went for like 20, I think, or 22. He's backed by a really good offense. Now, I will say this. We'll get to Koo in a minute, but I will say this. It's a deep pitching slate. Say it again. But Gagnon looks like an awesome cheap option, man. He really does. And in a park, like I said, that's pitcher friendly. The only qualm, I guess negative you could say, is I do anticipate his ownership to be high, but because we have so many options, maybe it's not as high as it should be. Maybe some of these other guys kind of pull people away. I don't know. But he looks really good. He looks really good. Holla. All right, we're going to go to the next game. We got the KT Wiz and the Samsung Lions. Wasting no time. KT Wiz, Samsung Lions. Come on, load. You're dirty. Okay, there we go. Odorizmer Despaigne against Sangmin Lee. So if you notice, Sangmin Lee, we have no stats for him. We got nothing. We got nothing to work with on him. Don't know what to expect. He's making his first appearance. From what I saw, he didn't have any stats last year, this year, so I'm assuming he's a rookie. It does look like, I see on the KBO site, by the way, there are 3 games that have like a little cloud symbol, which I think is supposed to be for weather. So I don't have a weather forecast, but it does look like there are 3 games where we're going to have to actually pay attention to the weather. And this is one of them, KT Wiz and the Samsung Lions. I'll have a link to some sort of weather breakdown when I can get one, whether it be from Kevin Roth or someone else who has a weather output. If I have to look it up myself, I will. But I should have something for those of you who subscribe to WiseTake.com when you check my article. And when the article comes out tonight, if I don't find it by then, I'm just going to post the article. But when I wake up in the morning and do the lineups, if I see anything, I'll try to add it in the article, but for weather specifically. But anyway, assuming that this game plays fine and weather's not a big deal, Samsung's been playing a little bit better. You can see their ISO creeping up, their wobble creeping up. They've been playing better. This projected lineup is a little more strikeout heavy than some of the lineups we've seen from them. Sangmin Lee, we don't know anything about him, but we know KT's offense is pretty good. 358 wOBA, 164 ISO, 18% K rate, and they've been a little cold until yesterday. Yesterday they kind of went apeshit again, and they have Kang back, Kong, whatever. This guy's fucking nasty. Back, I think he's real young too. He's like real young, and he's just a freak. He was injured for like 10 days. He was on a 10-day injury list. He came back and just had a day of shit, and then that was it. He was just back at it. So. I think KT Wiz's offense is definitely in play. This game is in the Samsung Park, which has been one of the more hitter-friendly ballparks you'll find. You see the KT Wiz. They're over their team total. If you want to bet on how many runs you think they'll score at Pinnacle.com, it was 6.5. So they anticipate them to be one of the higher-scoring teams, and I agree. I like the KT Wiz offense a lot. And I don't know this kid, but so far, when we've seen guys come up and make their thing, unless there's been some talk, and I haven't really seen a ton of buzz on him, but unless there's been like talk about, oh, this guy's coming up and they're expecting amazing things, the guys haven't done all that well. Or if they have, it's really been on luck, like BABIP type shit. But we haven't really seen a guy come up and just be dominant with strikeouts. Samsung's bullpen's actually not been bad. I've been trolled by Samsung several times. But this park is good. It's one of the games with weather. Keep an eye on that. But I like the KT Wiz offense. Kang. Mel Rojas is having a phenomenal year. Juan Jun Sim is not like a great hitter, but he does steal bases. He got 6 stolen bases already. These kind of things really add up over the time. So with Kang back, it's just a big boost to their team. You already got 2 guys who are quality hitters, and then you could find guys like Han Jun Yo, Kyung Soo Park, who are just serviceable, right? Sung Woo Jang, who's been serviceable. Even Jung Dae Bae's been decent. So I like him. As far as Samsung, I think you'll get Samsung really low owned. They've trolled me a couple times. Like they trolled everybody, right? Like 2 slates in a row, they beat up on the chalk pitchers. I think Despaigne is a little bit better. Maybe not than Jokic. Jokic was a little surprising to me, but that's the second game in a row we struggle. And sometimes it's their time. Like pitchers, sometimes they get unlucky. It's baseball, man. There is luck involved. It's a lot of skill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these guys ain't skilled. They're skilled as fuck, but I'm just saying that. You're relying on a ball that's being thrown from one person, hit off the bat to another. There's going to be some luck involved. As the case with any sport, right? NBA, lucky roll, lucky bounce, all that shit. You see it all the time. But baseball, it seems more than others. And it's the same thing reflects in the fantasy results. Baseball is a more variant sport than others. Going into the pitching, let's take a look at Odorizmer. So he's been really unlucky according to his numbers because his ERA is up to 4.29, which is pretty high from where it was. But his FIP is still really low at 2.81. The strikeout rate has come down, but he's playing a team, as I said, that can strike out. We'll see what lineup we really get. Strikeout to walk ratio still looks good, so walks aren't really that big of an issue for him. You see the difference, like how Despaigne has only a 19% K rate, and he's got a 3.4 strikeout to walk ratio. And then you see Jun Hoon Park, who has a 24% K rate, which is significantly higher, but he's got almost a full strikeout less on the strikeout to walk ratio, because that tells you Park is walking more people than Despaigne. Despaigne throws strikes. And he doesn't give up a ton of home runs. So it's a bad Park, like, don't get me wrong. And KT Wiz's bullpen is terrible, but that works two ways. You can either look at that like, oh, if I play Samsung and they do get this Despaigne, number one, you have them really low owned. Number two, the upside is endless because the bullpen's trash. Or you could look at it like KT Wiz is going to let this, if Despaigne is looking good, they're going to let him go as long as you possibly can so the bullpen don't fuck anything up. So there's two methods to that. But I do like Despaigne quite a bit. He's had a couple like game. I think one really bad game and then one kind of mediocre game. But I think that mediocre game was against like Doosan or some shit. So this is going to be one of the softest matchups I think he's had in a little bit. So I'm cool with it. Now, again, I love Koo and Gagnon. So even having to make room for him is kind of like, damn. And there's a couple other pitchups we have to analyze and discuss. So let's go on and move on to the next game, which is the Lotta Giants and the LG Twins. This game does not have one of those cloud symbols on it. Tyler Wilson pitching for LG. Dan Straley pitching for the Lotta Giants. A whole lot of Giants. Okay. So LG's offense, is similar to Kia and KT, one of the better ones. Not the best, but one of the better ones. 351 Wobo, 160 ISO. It seems like they've been cooling off a little bit in general. They are coming off of a doubleheader, so keep that in mind. And they don't typically strike out a ton, but they have, depending on the lineup. We've seen lineups they put out, and we've seen them get crushed by certain pitchers, but they don't typically strike out a lot. Keep in mind that Straley's having a lot of good strikeout success in this league. Tyler Wilson goes up against the Giants. The Giants are supposed to be a bottom-end offense. They've actually played really well, but they've been beating up on Hanwa a little bit. So you can see the 140 ISO, 347 WOBA, but they're not supposed to be good. We expect to see these numbers kind of die back down at a certain point. And they're playing they're going up against a much better pitcher, a much better bullpen, a much better team in general. Yeah. And I messed this up. Actually, I'm gonna flip this because I like to do the home team on the bottom, and LG's at home, so that is kind of significant because LG's more of a pitcher's park, whereas the Giants' park is a little bit more hitter friendly. So I think that's relevant. It's relevant. Let's get into the pitching. Let's get into this pitching. So we'll start with who the fuck is first? Tyler Wilson. Okay, yeah. So his price has gone up. I don't love that. But the numbers are still solid. 3.36 FIP has been a little unlucky at times. 18.5% K rate. Strikeout to walk ratio is very similar numbers right now to Despaigne. I expect Despaigne to have more success with strikeouts. I expect his strikeout rate to go up, and then as like a main differentiator. But I don't think Wilson is that far off, and he's got another soft matchup. We're talking about attacking Samsung, attacking Lotta. The difference is I think Despaigne should have more upside, and the reason I say that is because Tyler Wilson, we did see Tyler Wilson had a very good year last year, at 299 FIP, but still an 18% K rate. So ignore Despaigne's numbers. That's from 2020. He wasn't here in 2019, but Tyler Wilson was. So these numbers are from 2019. So I do think Despaigne should have more strikeout success if he has a couple of soft matchups, whereas Tyler Wilson, over a large sample in this league, is around an 18% guy. So I like them both. I just feel like Despaigne may have a little bit more upside or ceiling or whatever, but I could be wrong. Either way, he's a fine option, certainly fine. And that's what I mean by pitching is deep. We already got Koo, who I haven't even technically really gotten to, right? But we got Koo, straight Gagnon. I talked about Young Hoo Park as like, I mean, where does he fit in this? That's why I think he's gonna be so low in Despaigne. And we are gonna talk about Straley, who's got really awesome numbers. Now he's a little bit more volatile than these other guys, and we'll get to why. It's not his FIP at 273. That's pretty solid, pretty fucking good. It's not his K rate. 26% strikeout rate is awesome. But if you look at his strikeout to walk ratio, he walks a lot more people than some of these other dudes. Like a lot more than Wilson and Despaigne and Koo and Drew Gagnon. That's kind of been his issue. And he's playing, we know that Straley, his whole career has been prone to home runs. And he's playing a team that can hit him, especially with guys like Wilson Ramos. But, again, LG is at home in a pitcher-friendly park. LG had to play a doubleheader and then travel. So I'm listen, it's not like it's a crazy day game, so maybe it doesn't have that big of maybe it's not that big of an issue. But it doesn't help that they're playing a pitcher who has this kind of strikeout stuff. So I think working Straley in is fine. I think Straley will be significantly lower owned than Gagnon. I think most people will go to Gagnon. So I could see a world where Gagnon is mediocre or maybe even gets rocked and some weird, just doesn't have it or is unlucky. And Straley kind of comes through $200 more expensive at lower ownership and does the dirty. So I'll have some Straley shares. I do prefer Gagnon, but I think everybody else will too. But these things matter. Look at 4 compared to 2.87. I'll take the 4 all day. For $200 less against a weaker team and just as good of a park for pitching. But yeah, I'm cool. I'll grab some Straley shares amongst my team. There's no excuses for me not to. When you're doing that many teams, no excuses not to, motherfucker. Check out our boy Ramos real quick. Ramos check. Up to 12 dingers now. His home run percentage fell below 10%. Just barely. What a freak this guy is. Straight up freak. LG could be a sneaky kind of stack. I mean, I don't know how much of that I actually get to, but they could be kind of sneaky because, like I said, Straley does have that tendency. If he's not on, things can get real ugly real quick for him. But for the most part, the pitching, I expect to garner more ownership. And Ramos, people will play Ramos no matter what. Better believe that. I don't blame him. Shit. Shit. All right. Doosan and Hanwa. So Doosan stays on the road. They go to Hanwa, which is another upgrade for them in terms of hitting, I think. Park. Doosan has the most pitcher friendly park in the game. And we just saw Hanwa, man. The Giants were just going crazy in this park. Juan Jun Choi pitching for Doosan. He's a reliever. Last year he was a reliever. They had 35 appearances, only 3 starts. So this is a rare situation. Hasn't started yet this year. Going against Chad Bell, who last year had some really good numbers, but this year has some of the worst numbers that I've seen in a minute. So he's having a rough go of it coming back in. If he was against a weak team, I'd be willing to give him a shot. Against Doosan, a little worried. You know what I mean? A little bit. But so I guess Doosan, we know, is one of the better offenses in the game. 340 WOBA, 150 at ISO. Then that's fallen a little bit. And I'm just dealing with some injuries. That third baseman I always play, is it Ho or Joe or something like that? He's been out. They're missing him a little bit. I got the wrong lineup in there for Doosan. My bad. See that shit? Hold on, I'm gonna fix it right now though. Don't freak. I do this sometimes. I do this when I pull from the projected lineups. I do not do this in any other scenario. But these projected lineups get me sometimes. Because I copy and paste them instead of manually hand put them in. When I get the lineups in, the confirmed ones, I type them in one by one so that I don't make a mistake and I'm on top of them. When I'm doing these projected lineups, I just fucking say fuck it. You know what I mean? The Chad Bell, I think, is a lefty, so we're going to put out their projected lineup against lefties. I'm glad I checked that shit because I was like, man, what's up with their numbers, man? But they are missing that fucking guy that I always play. All right, I should update in a second. So I guess we'll talk about Hanwa first. Hanwa here. So Hanwa, 294 WOBA, 101 ISO, worst in the game, worst in the league. 18% strikeout rate because some of these guys are missing some stats, and I'm going to see if they populate when I make some corrections after the show. I'm going to try to fix some of these things that aren't showing the stats and see if we could get them name corrections in there. Now let's look at Doosan. Oh, still not great. 136 WOBA, 150 ISO. So they have been slumping a little bit. They've been struggling. If you're going to play Doosan, you want to do it on the road. This seems to be a good park. Hanwa's bullpen is just fucking annihilated. So I don't think Bell's going to be on a restriction. They've already raised him up into the 80s, so I think they're going to let him rip. But he's been terrible, though. So, how terrible, you say? Let's fucking look. So, first of all, okay, yeah, we'll look at 2020. We'll look at Chad Bell. So, 9 ERA, 8 FIP. So, we can't even say he's just been really unlucky because he's been bad, too. Whip is extremely high, not striking people out, and that's not really something. He's not a strikeout guy. 5.26 home run percentage. He's getting lit the fuck up. And if we look at 2019, Bell was actually one of the better pitchers in the league. 3.85 FIP, 18% K rate, which is respectable. You don't expect him to get on track with his strikeouts in this game against Doosan, who strikes out less than anyone in the league. 1.84 strikeout to walk ratio. Home run rate was low. So I don't know. He's just adjusting, rust. But this is a shitty situation for him to try to get right. This is not a good get right spot. In a hitter's park, in a park that's been friendly for hitting against a team that has a lot of power and is good. And their bullpen, Hanwa's bullpen, is fucking worked. They're exhausted. Their pitchers have not gone deep at all. So yeah, Doosan's looking pretty good right now, once again. Right? Looking pretty good. Speaking of Doosan, Juan Jun Choi has been awful this year. And Doosan's bullpen has been awful. Them and KT have the two worst bullpens as far as ERA goes. Hanwa might be catching up, though. But he's been bad at the bullpen. 7.64 ERA, 5.31 FIP. 16% K rate. It's not terrible for a guy that's 4K on DraftKings. Now, on FanDuel, you're not really worried about this because the chances of him getting you a quality start to begin with are just not in why. You get one pitcher, you're not, No, this is a DraftKings only deal. And it's only if you really think you need it. Now, pitching is deep, so it's hard to imagine wanting to play a lot of this dude, but he's playing Hanwa, who we talked about being the worst offense in the game. And these numbers are pathetic. 5.31, 60. Look, fucking home run percentage is massive. But number one, keep in mind he's playing a team. That's terrible. Number two, if we look at last year over a larger sample, he really wasn't bad out of the bullpen at all. A 3.04 FIP, 16% K rate, which is pretty much, I think, what it is right now, right? Yeah, almost it's the exact number. Strikeout to walk ratio was 1.9. Not great. He doesn't strike a ton of people out. It's not terrible. Didn't really give up home runs. So last year he was a lot better. So if you just want to punt the SP2, be my guest. But we have a lot of guys with ceiling, and that worries me because even if Juan Jun Choi is good, I don't know how long they're going to let him go. He's a bullpen dude. Maybe 4 innings. Maybe he gets like 60 pitches, 65, 70 pitches max. I just don't see them just letting him rip like that. With that said, it's kind of interesting that Choi is struggling this year because I had mentioned before, like as we were starting the show, if there was a day to maybe take a shot on Hanwa, this might be it. Because as I said, Doosan's bullpen is the worst in the league, and this is basically a bullpen game, especially if they can get to him early. And you got a bunch of cheap dudes. We have expensive pitchers. You got a bunch of fucking cheap guys you could take shots on. That's all I'm saying. So it's not a terrible idea. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I don't know if it's a terrible one. But Doosan for sure looks like they should be chalky, and they're in a really good spot all around. But based off this year. But why don't you enjoy? That's the interesting one. Do you stack some Hanwa or do you lean more towards, I think I'd rather just get some Choi. Holla. $4. Was this a weather game? Yes. This was another game with the cloud over it. And the next game, another game with the cloud. I got to remember, South Korea is not a big, it's not like America where you have like, it's raining on the West Coast, but we could play on the East Coast. Like if it rains in one place, it's probably going to rain in most of the areas. It's just not that big. The Kiwoom Heroes against Changmo-ku and the NC Dinos, aka the Dingo Babies. Sang-ho Lee going up against Changmo-ku. Mr. Ku to you motherfuckers. So Kiwoom is supposed to be one of the better offenses. The Dinos have been the best. 413 team WOBA, 224 team ISO, just phenomenal. And you can see Kiwoom has been kind of sliding down like to mediocre land. 363 WOBA, 154 ISO. Now keep in mind, Ku is a lefty, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Okay, so two pretty good offenses. The Dinos park as the number one hitting park in the game. We know what these offenses are, right? Now the thing with Kiwoom, I don't have the platoon splits. I talked about splits, and I've seen home and road splits at certain places, but I haven't seen a lot of lefty-righty splits action. I love that shit, but Park is a righty. And I know when he was with the Twins, he was like mostly against lefties. That was his deal. So Ku is a lefty. Ku is good. He's damn good. But my point is, I have a feeling of some of these guys, like their catcher, Dongwon Park, they got some guys that can hit lefties. Last year, for whatever it's worth, I don't know. Earlier this year, Changmo-ku dominated 27 DraftKings points against these guys. But last year, out of 3 meetings, he only had one, I think, or maybe 4, maybe. He only had one good game. And the other ones, he kind of got beat up a little bit. So I'm not trying to talk anyone off of Ku. I'm just trying to give you guys information. That was the one interesting thing I found. Now, let me get this out the way. Sang-ho Lee has some of the worst numbers on the slate. So the NC Dinos offense should be very popular, and I have no arguments against it. I would probably play the shit out of them. Get that out the way. Now let's get into Ku a little bit and see just how good Ku's been. So as you can see, real quick, just to shine the spotlight on our boy. Where you at, B? Sang-ho Lee, 5.81 FIP, 13% K rate, almost a 4% home run percentage in a park that gives up a ton of home runs. Holla. Yes, that is it. Now, real quick though, because if we want to look at last year, he wasn't as bad, but he wasn't good either. 4.09 FIP, 15% K rate. Yeah, so he still sucked. Cool. Let's look at Cool in 2019. 3.5 FIP, 25% K rate, 2.23% home run percentage. We did give up homers, but keep in mind he pitches in a park. His home park is a hitter-friendly park. Only a 2.43 strikeouts to walk ratio. So walks were a little bit more of an issue last year. Not a major issue. A little bit more of an issue. Look at this year. How nasty this motherfucker's been. A 161 FIP, 707 whip, 29.73% strikeout rate, and a 4.89 strike to walk ratio. He's been phenomenal. Hasn't given up any home runs though. And you know what? That kind of annoys me. Because it's just very unlikely that he's going to go the whole season without giving up a home run. Right? Just unlikely. So I'm going to play a good amount of Cool. I'm not going to go overboard because I think he's going to be so popular even on this kind of slate because of how good. I think everybody's looking at him like a stone cold lock. And I think, listen, he's phenomenal. I'm going to have a good amount. But I'm going to work in these other pitchers on a deep field. And I'm going to make sure to try to have some Kiwoom stacks. And if you get our projections and if you just let it rip, I'm going to make it so that it tries to give you at least some. I recommend getting at least a little bit, 5%, if you're doing 150 teams or more. You know? Because I just think Kiwoom, they fucked me like 2 days in a row. Trust me, I'm not cool with them right now. I'm very disgusted with them. But they were just chalk 2 days in a row and sucked. And now they're going to be like, nobody's going to play him. They did hit this guy last year. Koo is awesome, but you don't expect him to maintain these exact numbers the whole the way through. At some point, he's going to give up a home run. We've already seen that even though his FIP is phenomenal, he's still been a little lucky with the way the ball's bounced. Maybe stacking them fully isn't the way to go. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe simply having a guy like Byung-ho Park or Ha-seon Kim or just like a mini stack is serviceable enough if that works out, and just hope those guys have big games themselves because it's hard to see Koo get rocked. But I'll have some of the players, put it that way, like Park and Kim and some of these guys. I'll work them in. But I will have a good amount of Koo, to be clear. Holla. And yeah, the Dinos offense is going to be popular as fuck. But they're in a very good spot. It's hard to argue. I know I'm cursing way too much today. Very, very aggravated day today, man. Let me tell you what my dog did. My dog, he's a puppy. He's like 6 months. It was raining all day today. Yesterday, my wife had taken him to my sister-in-law's house. My brother-in-law's house. You guys know him. Shake and Bake, Tommy SB, our NASCAR guy. Went over there. They got a dog around his almost his exact age, a couple months younger. They like to play, same size. So they have this little, thing, mat on the ground, where the sprinkler comes out of the mat or whatever, and then the dog's running around. It was just like his first time playing on the sprinklers, and he loved them. He loves it. He's half lab, so they love water. He's jumping on a thing. He's splashing in it all day. So today it was raining all day. My dog, he goes outside when he wants to in the backyard. He's got a doggy door. He's been outside in the rain. He'll get wet, but he comes in. Nothing crazy. He doesn't usually play in the mud. Today was the day. I guess there was a big puddle that built up in the back of my fence, and it was muddy as fuck. And my dog he's like white with tan spots. You understand? It's not like he's like, dark brown or like you wouldn't notice it. Normally he is white, man, with brown spots. He looked like a different dog. That's how muddy he was. He came in looking like looked like somebody just dunked him in some mud. And that's what he did. He did it to himself. It wasn't like he just walked through it. This man must have been, cause the amount of filth that was on him, he must have been jumping in that shit. He must have been like rolling in that shit. It was everywhere. It was fucked up. That's what I got done doing before this show. I thought I was going to take a little nap, because of this KBO shit, I haven't slept much. But no. Patches, my dog, said no. Patches said no. But it is what it is. But that's going to do it for today's stream. Appreciate those of you guys that come and hang out and do the dirty. Yeah, Robert here guessed it, right? Yeah. I see it, man. I see everybody that cool as a lock. I don't disagree. In cash games, there's no doubt. It's not a question. It's easy. And in tournaments, like I said, I'm gonna have a substantial. To be clear, I'm gonna have a substantial amount of cool. He's my favorite pitcher in the KBO. But I'm just saying that when you have high upside players that are going to go really low owned, usually, and it doesn't take much to be out the field, right? You could have like 5% of Byung-ho Park and you might be overweight. So why not take a stab at it? Oh, he was doing the dirty. Exposure News Network says he was doing the dirty. Oh, he did the dirty. He did the dirty real hard, reminded me that I got to do the dirty first because the dirty will get done to me. He did the dirty real hard. Real hard. All right, we're going to get out of here, Nation. Please hit that like button on your way out. Good luck to everybody. I don't know if there'll be a stream tomorrow for KBO. I have to see. There'll be content regardless of WiseTake.com. That's running for though. We have day passes available for $1.99 if you want to access projections, cheat sheets. All that shit will be up shortly, as well as my article. Anthony Vaughn says, what other team would you stack with the NC Dinos? So you could do a game stack if you're not pitching Koo, and like I said, work in guys. We talked about like Byung-Ho Park, Ha-Seong Kim if possible, but if you don't want to go that route because you want to play Koo, and I totally get it, bro. I'm with you. The KT Wiz looked pretty good, I thought. KT Wiz looked pretty good. Doosan, it's another team you could go back to, right? My conscience says Koo is my boo. I know he's mine too, but like whenever I fall in love with a guy too much, they do the dirty to me. You know what I'm saying? They do it, but I don't know. We'll see. But it's been a while. It's been one of those weeks, right? It's been one of those weeks where the chalk has not hit. After we've had a couple weeks in a row where the chalk was hitting a lot, and now we've had a week where it's just been like complete chaos, and like the lowest owned teams are going off and doing dirties, and the chalk's been busting hard and long. But anyway, Nation, I'm getting out of here. Article will be out a little bit later. Projections and all that shit will be out shortly. And like I said, make sure it's a grind. You want to make money, you got to try your best at everything you do. You don't do nothing half-ass. So. If you got to wake up and get the lineups, make sure you're not taking a zero on nobody. Do what you got to do. If you can't because you got work and kids and life and shit, then by all means, do whatever you can. I'm doing my best to keep you covered, so do whatever you can. But if you're, young single lad, maybe not working right now because the COVID shit, or maybe you just work nights or whatever, get your ass up. Don't take no zero. It's not worth it. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.